All the deeper teachings of Judaism teach that all of our positive urges and negative urges stem from the four elements that are within reality and the four elements that are within us. And Chanukah, the truth of Chanukah is about getting in touch with all of those elements, with all the urges. Why? Because Chanukah really is all about the Mizbeach. And the Mizbeach was connected to all the four elements. The Mizbeach was built from earth. There was a constant fire burning on the Mizbeach. There was water poured on the Mizbeach, and as the Gemara says, the smoke of the Mizbeach went straight up without deviating one way or the other, not because there was no air, but because all the winds worked together to keep it straight up. And Chanuka is all about the Mizbeach, because the truth is, the Chashmonaim were obsessed with the Mizbeach, so much so that the entire revolt, the entire war, was started over the Mizbeach. Why? Because the emperor decreed, commanded that they bring a sacrifice to Zeus on the Mizbeach, and Matisyahu got up and killed the Jew, the Hellenized Jew, that was getting ready to bring the sacrifice, and that started the entire war. And as the Gemara says in Midot and in Yuma, that when they finally reclaimed the Mizbeach, they went through a process of purifying all the utensils, and when they reached the Mizbeach, they tried to purify the Mizbeach, and they couldn't. So what did they do? They destroyed the Mizbeach, and they built a new one. So the question is why? Why were they so obsessed with the Mizbeach, and why couldn't they purify it so much so that they had to destroy it and build a new one? So there's amazing Midrash that's mentioned in a few places in different versions, in Targum Yonatan, in Breshit Rabbah, and in Tehillim Rabbah, that says, why was that place, the place in the Mizbeach, so important? Oh, it's because in that exact spot, that's where Yaakov built his Mizbeach when he woke up from his dream. Okay, well, why was that place important to Yaakov? Oh, because that's the place where Avram, after the Akedah, built his Mizbeach, and instead of sacrificing Yitzchak, sacrificed the ram. Okay, well, why was that place important to Avram? Oh, it's because that place is the place after the Mabul, after the flood, that Noach came and built his altar there. Why was it important to him? Oh, because that's the exact place that Cain and Hevel brought their sacrifices. Why do they bring their sacrifices there? Because that's the place where Adam, after he was kicked out from the garden, he built his Mizbeach. Well, why was that place important to Adam? So the Midrash says, because when Adam was created, Hashem took him and brought him to that spot and said, Adam, look there. From this exact place, from the earth, in this hollow, that's the exact spot from the earth that I created you. Now it's your job. Go and fill that place up. Fill that place up with your intentions. Fill that place up with your offerings. Fill that place up with your service. The rabbis are teaching us that inherent in the Mizbeach is connected to lack, is connected to imperfection, is connected to the shadow side. And all of intention, all of service, all of Avodat Hashem, all service of God is getting in touch with our imperfection, getting in touch with our lack, getting in touch with our shadow side. And that's specifically what the fight against the Greeks was all about. What was Greek worship? Greeks' worship was that the human being is perfect. They celebrated humanity, they celebrated the human being, and any imperfection that we see in a human being is really just the gods. It's because of the god of war. It's because of the god of lust. It's because of the god of this. And all these gods are at war with each other. And any imperfection that we see in humanity is really just the gods. And we worship the gods. We offer these sacrifices to keep them out of our lives. Which is precisely the difference between Judaism. As the rabbis say, when you have the Yetzer Hara is banging at you, what you should do, as Gemara in Sukkah says, drag this evil urge, the Beit Midrash, sit it down, have a dialogue with it, talk with it, get to know, why is it there? What is this urge? What is this lack? What is this imperfection that I have? And the Greeks couldn't stand this. And this is what they did, the 3 decrees that they decreed against the Jews, against Shabbat, against Bris Milah, and against Rosh Chodesh. What? You're saying Shabbat, we need a break? You're saying that the world is not perfect as it is now, and so we need to imagine for 24 hours that we're perfect? Brit Milah, you're saying that the human being body is not perfect? That we need to do something? That there's a lack that we need to do something about it? Rosh Chodesh, you're saying that this past month we were imperfect, that we need to start again, we need to have a renewal? It's impossible. We can't live in a world like this. And the entire war was about the realization, about the Mizbeach, about the realization that human beings have lack. And we see it in the names. The name for the Greeks is Yavan. And the name for the ultimate manifestation of the land of Israel, of Jerusalem, of the Jewish people, is Sion. The last three letters are the same, Yud, Vav, Nun. The only difference is that Sion has a tzadi in front. Yud, Vav, Nun, they're great things. The Greeks had amazing ideas, amazing things that they brought to the world. But it was all under the guise of perfection, that there is no imperfection, there is no shadow side to humanity. And so you have the Yud, these amazing ideas. You have the Vav, they brought it down in amazing, amazing ways into reality, but they went too far. The Nun passes down past the line of the text. Whereas Sion has a tzadi in front, and that makes all the difference. What is a tzadi? A tzadi is a tzaddik. What is a tzaddik? A tzaddik is not a good person. A lot of good people that are not tzaddikim. A lot of good people that are not holy. What is a tzaddik? Tzaddik is not a good person. A tzaddik is a whole person. A tzaddik is someone who is in deep relationship with all of their imperfections, deep relationship with all of their lacks, deep relationship with their shadow side. So much so that they always are constantly dragging their shadow side, their evil inclination, their urges to the Beit HaMikdash. They're in constant dialogue. And through that, they become a whole person. And this is what Chanuka is all about. This is what Mizbeach is all about. Chanuka, it's all about getting in touch with our shadow side, dancing with the shadows that are being created by the lights of the candle. After the high of the Yom Norayim, where we thought we were perfected, we thought we had become different people, all of a sudden we see we have all this imperfection, we have all these lacks. Chanuka is about getting in touch with those. And Chanuka is about realizing that it's only through these lacks, it's only through getting deeply in touch in a relationship with our shadow side that we can become tzaddik, and that we can manifest Sion, that we can shine light to all four corners of the earth. So the Chaim to the Mizbeach, Chaim to the imperfection, the Chaim to the four elements that are within us always, in the dance of the four elements, and through the dancing with the candles and the shadows of the candles, that we bring Sion down into this world. Chaim l'chaim.